Today, I am going to be showing off two programs. The first one is X13 SAM, and X13 SAM is not a new program. It's been available on the internet for a while. I always have problems when I go from one monitor to two monitors. So let's see. There we go. So X13 SAM has been available on the internet for a while now. This latest version was just released in the summer. And the purpose of X13 SAM is to take X13 spec files and make changes to a whole bunch of them at once. And I've already shown off X13 SAM in a previous one of these workshops, so I'm going to just speed through showing some of these features because today I just want to show the new features available in the latest version.
Sorry, Demetra, maybe can you enlarge the screen so that as much as we like the puppy, but yes, please, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so to use this first, you put in the directory of your spec files. You can select the spec files that you want to edit, or you can select a meta file if the meta file contains the spec files. That's going to become important really soon. Since it edits spec files, we usually don't want to overwrite the ones that already exist. So we have some options to move the new spec files to a different directory or to append a suffix to them. And then you just decide what you want to do with them. So we have a lot of types of editing options, things like removing a spec, like say we want to remove the X11 spec and we add it. And then you can, this is the problem with add a spec. So let's add the seats spec. And you just select that, and you can put in some arguments if you want to, and then you add the action. You can edit individual arguments within a spec. So for example, maybe you want to, let's say, change your forecasts all to 60. The number of forecasts. Some of the arguments have special features in them, like for example, the ARIMA model. You can just change it. Like if you want to change all of your ARIMA models to an airline, you could just put in an airline model there. So this will change all model arguments to the airline, and you can add that. But there are actually some special features for the model where you can change just certain components or certain parts of this model. So for example, if you want your model to become exactly the same, but you want to change just the seasonal differencing, you can put in PDQ P0Q, and that'll keep the exact same model that you have, but it will change just the seasonal difference to 0. And then if we look at, let's just look at the regression arguments. If we look at the variables argument, so you can edit the argument as a whole, or you can edit individual parts of the variables argument. So you can add an argument to the list. You just select from all the options that are available, or you can remove them. And I'm going to remove them here because that's the point of what I want to show you for today. So I'm going to remove from these spec files trading day, one coefficient trading day, and I'm going to remove all additive outliers that are greater than or equal to 2020.3. So all pandemic additive outliers. And let's do also all pandemic level shifts. So once you've added all the actions, you press this big button and it edits the specs. I'm not going to do that today. Today I'm going to show you this new feature that we have, which is locate affected series. And when I press this, yes, it worked wonderful. What this does is it goes through the program as if you were going to edit the specs, but it doesn't actually do it. It just keeps track of which of the spec files that you have listed would be affected by that particular action. And then you can use this to filter them. So for example, these are all the specs that the remove X11 spec would affect, which means that these are all the specs that have an X11 spec. We're going to also add all of the specs that have a TD argument, which is a subset of those. We can add all the specs that have a TD1 argument, and that's nothing, which makes sense because you can't have TD and TD1 at the same time. So this is just a way of looking at what features your spec files have without having to actually run them. Once you have made your lists here, you can actually save this as a meta file, and as we saw, we can edit from a meta file. So this is a way to say, if you want to make changes to some of your spec files, but only if they have some certain feature, you can run this to find the series that have that feature, save it as a meta file, and then make the changes that you want just to that subset. The other feature here is this other tab, series arguments. This one looks just at the arguments option that you have, and this works for the remove arguments. So anything that affects an argument that already exists, if you add that, it'll list what would be removed, so what is already there. So in order to change the model, you would have to delete the model that's already there, so it just lists what that model is. And we can add all of our change arguments to here, and so we can go through and see what features are in these spec files, and we didn't have to run it, it just shows you what we have. Okay, so that's really quickly the changes to X13 SAM. And now I want to move to the next program, which is GenHall. So GenHall is a program that already exists. It was written by Brian Monsell. It is a program that generates user-defined holiday regressors given a list of holiday dates. And how it works is it creates a window of some certain number of dates, either before the holiday, surrounding the holiday, or after the holiday. GenHall was written in a program that no one at Census, as far as I know, knows how to use anymore, since Brian has abandoned us for the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I have rewritten the program in GenHall, in Python, rewritten in Python and created a new user interface for it. So there are going to be, three versions of the program. The first is just the code that does the creation of it. That's just a Python code, so it can run just in Python. So we'll package that up so you can use it just within your Python scripts if you want to. And then there'll be a standalone version with the interface that'll be available for people who don't want to use CSEN, but then it's also embedded into CSEN, and that's the version I'm going to show you today. So we're in CSEN, we're in the spec mode. This also works in Red Component, and we go here to Tools, and we can select GenHall. And we see these 4 tabs. So first, GenHall, you need a date of holidays. The program comes bundled with 3 of them already, so Easter, Orthodox Easter, and Chinese New Year. I'm going to use Orthodox Easter since I am Greek. If these aren't your holidays, you can also just put in your own file of holiday dates. It just needs to be, again, it's just a date. So the year, the month, and the day in some order. You can tell the program which order your file is in when you read it in. If you click this button, it'll also save the file, so you don't have to keep reading it in if it's something you're going to be reusing frequently when you use GenHall. And then you create the holiday regressor. So in the current GenHall, you have to create this spec file, and then it creates the file, the user regressor file, I'll just, when you run the program. This one doesn't work quite like that. You have to select each regressor that you want to do individually and just use these controls for every single one that you want to create. You just create it individually. So I'm going to just quickly do an Orthodox Easter. It needs a name, and we'll call this, we'll do the Easter weekend. So it's a monthly series. We'll go from the day before Easter through Easter Monday. So one day before Easter, that's the Saturday, until the day after Easter.
Demetra, sorry, 5 minutes to go, please.
Okay, I'll go really quickly then. Then you tell it what the effect type is. I'll get back to that in a second. You tell it what kind of centering it needs, which is calendar centering for an Easter effect, and then how long you want the effect to last. And you press create. Again, it has a button to save it in GenHall. That'll save the regressor so that it's there next time you open the program. So we'll create that. It tells you it was successfully created. And here in Explore Regressors, there's some graphs so you can look at the effect that you created and make sure that it is what you think it is, see how it affects the series. So here, for example, this is a 3-day effect. So this is the proportion of days within the month. So if we go back to, let's see, 2016, I think it is. Yeah, 2016, Easter is on May 1st. So we see it this different color in April. So 1/3 of the effect is in April, 2/3 of it is in May. And then here is the regressor before you center it, and then there is the centered regressor. That's the final regressor. So the other types of effects that are available is, by default, that window is stable, but we can also select an increasing regressor. And let me make this longer so you can see what that looks like. So when we have an increasing effect, the window isn't stable throughout the, what is it, 8 days of the window. It increases every day linearly. I have tried very hard to find a series where this holiday regressor is actually better than the stable one, and I have not been able to find it, to be honest. And Brian Munsell did some research some years ago, and we're looking at these increasing effects, and he also didn't find any examples where it was better. But it is something that has been asked of me before, whether this is an option, whether and how to do it. So now we're going to make it available to you to see if maybe it'll work for your series. Maybe it will. I haven't found it to be useful at all. The other option, which is a little bit more useful actually, is this to regime option. This will create two regressors, one for some days of the week and one for others. So we have this set to Saturday, Sunday. So when we create this, if we look at it, there's one effect that has all the days within that window that are weekdays and all the days in the window that are weekends, and it creates two separate regressors. Once you have your regressors created, you just create a file with the regressors that you want. We'll go with our first one here, that window. If we press this button here, save and add to current spec file, you just need to save your regressor, and it adds it right to your spec file. So it adds all the code that you need to add to it. This is a series of exports from Greece that I pulled off of Fred. And if we run it real quick, we see, let's find our regression. There's our effect. That's a little significant, a t-value of -2.2. And then the final window here is just
1 minute to go, sorry.
That's okay, I'm done. This final window is just to manage the effects, so you can delete permanent regressors, or if you made some that aren't permanent but you want them to be, you can promote them. So that is GenHall. It'll be built right into CZen, so you can use it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this nice presentation. I see from the chat that you have many fans and users of your application. I've seen also people using 4,000 series, so congratulations for that. I think you are also somehow solving one of my dream, that would be to be able to specify a week that starts not on Monday, but as a first day of the week being on Sunday, because as we know very well, in some countries the first day of the week is not Monday, but it's Sunday. So thank you very much for that. My question to you, if there are not questions from the audience, maybe you can have an immediate answer, because I've seen this now, it's the third presentation regarding a Python platform. Yes, Mauricio, please take the floor. We have a question from Mauricio.
Yes, thank you so much. Regarding Wormhole, this version is Python, right? It's not uploaded in the Census Bureau website right now? Sorry, your speaker is...
Sorry. This program is still under development. We still have a lot of testing to do, a few features still to add. The plan is to release this new interface in next year. July is the plan.
Thank you so much. And yes, and one thing for that is that just one suggestion, if you allow me. Sorry, I'm going to open my camera.
Yes, sure, go ahead. Yeah.
From the manual that it's uploaded, can you give some more details about the types of the ratio? One, just specify the number of holidays, because from the current manual, it's not very clear. I don't know if I can send you an email about that to specify or to be more specific about this.
Yeah, that sounds good. That'll be fine.
Yes, but thank you very much. Yes. So okay. It's another version in the Census Bureau web page. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, as with previous speakers, don't hesitate to write question in the chat so that Demetra can reply. So please, Demetra, don't disappear, because I still have a question for you. I'd like to know, because it's a question also for all the previous speakers. It's the third presentation that we've seen about Python. Are you considering also Julia as maybe the next programming language to be used for developing a platform? Demetra?
We don't have any plans at this time. We're still focused on getting this one done.
On Python?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why not Julia, or just because I'm just surprised that everybody's working on Python and nobody's working on Julia, or maybe on Go, or on a different language, which is supposed to be the language of the future. Maybe we can keep this question open for the next discussion. Anyone that would like to answer to that in the chat. So it's a question for the three speakers so far, if you want. So if somebody is considering at some point to use Julia, yes or not, and if yes, why? If yes, if no, why not? Or if yes, why yes? I don't have the answer to this question, and I'd like to hear from the experts. Okay, so I guess, Katie, it's now time to go back to Anna. Do you have the slide?